Hey Mark, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. We're
Good.
gonna we're gonna cover a little bit of a controversial subject today. I think we might get some kickback.
Well, yeah, let me comment on that because we had this chat earlier today about you're getting a lot. Again, we want comments, and this is everybody's opinion, and that's great, and keep doing it. And I'm not going to say not to do it or change it, but some of the comments are coming saying, "Oh, the market's going to crash. The market's going to crash. Oh, it's going to go this. Oh, it's going to go that." We're not seeing that, and this video is going to talk about home ownership statistics in Canada from the last census from 2016 to 2021. And during that period, homes went up 40%. Pretty big number. So,
Yeah. Well, and my thing is too, everybody's saying that, young people can't buy anymore. Our generation of children are no one's going to own a home, and they're priced right out of the market, and income levels haven't met the increase that the home prices have. Now, I get all that, but I also think, like when I was starting out, our my father-in-law had to go on title. We couldn't afford it on our own, and we were living hand to mouth. Interest rates were 12%.
they were high. Remember, some of them were like 20. I remember as a kid going home. Why did these people leave this nice house on La Breche and move to this shitty area, as an example? Well, we know why. Interest rates. Here's your keys back. See you later. Can't afford it.
Yeah.
So there was hard times back then too, and I think there's some hard times, and but I think this generation just doesn't want to make sacrifices as well,
Well,
right?
listen, this is my other thing. I remember, like, even now, the people I grew up with, there's still a large percentage that don't own a house now.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
And the education level and the amount of people that have professional job, like, good paying jobs are higher now than it was then.
Hmm.
Everybody I grew up around, nobody had a great job making lots of money. Nobody did.
No, no,
And now my kids are how old are they, Mark? They're 28 and 31,
yeah,
and their friends are buying houses.
yeah. But I think also some are getting some support. They can't do it on their own unless they really sacrifice, though.
Well,
Like
you
I,
know what a lot of them did? They lived at home with their parents.
okay,
There's two of them.
yep,
They make, they both are professionals, or they make decent money. They're
yep,
socking away the down payment.
correct,
You can
correct.
put 5% down now. When I was rolling, like when we were buying our first home, you had to
Yep,
have 20%. There was no fucking if and or but. You couldn't put 5% down.
no. And like I said, they lived at home with their parents, and that's not easy to do, right? Probably, I'm sure the parents rent free so they could save up a down payment and start growing it so they can. But I don't think there's a lot of, I think there's not too many people that are willing to make those sacrifices. And one of my clients did. He's in his 30s, bought his first home closed yesterday. He rented a room for 2 or 3 years because I need to save for a down payment. If I get my own apartment, it's, time you're done everything and electricity and gas and all that, it's 23 to 2,500 bucks a month. I need to live like he lived like a student, and he's the first to say it.
Well, that's what I mean. I think, and I mean, on my first house, we had to make a basement apartment and rent the apartment to pay the goddamn mortgage.
That's it. That's it. I know.
Like, I mean, I don't, and I understand that prices are higher
Yep.
now
Yep.
comparable to wages,
Yeah.
but you also have the option of renting out rooms, renting a basement. Like, there's options available to you.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I think nowadays, and in this type of country, and I know you hate it and you get mad at it all the time,
The amount of the taxation and just how difficult our government makes for people. And
but there's so many programs, Mark, for people to get educated.
yeah, there's some programs out there to get educated on programs to save for down payment and all that kind of stuff. But
No, I mean, like, I had friends that went back in their 50s and became medical secretaries and went back in their 50s and, you know, got a career where they were making more money.
Oh, I agree. That option is always out there for anybody, right? Anybody that wants to, to put a bit of work in, and they can definitely, improve their financial situation. But in the day, people make decisions, and sometimes these people are in positions today because of the decisions they've made for years and keep making these decisions, right? Like if when I struggled too, we bought my friend. It was tough. What did I do? I rented out 2 rooms just to feel more comfortable to pay for it. I was
Mhm.
31. It would have had to do. Sick of paying rent, wanted to get into the housing market. It was a big step. It's pretty frightening, but once you're in, you go, it isn't that bad. Again, this is back 20 some years ago. God, back then I would think I was getting $500 a room. Like it was covering a good chunk of my mortgage, like half. Like it was huge,
Well,
right?
that's what I'm saying. Like there's options available. And if somebody, there is opportunities and options for people to be able to do it. Yeah, the prices are high, but most of my clients, when I figure out the mortgage amount, rent is higher than the mortgage amount.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, I know.
The rent is so high, right?
Rents are high. So if they can afford the rent, again, they got to qualify. And I think as these prices, they're not going to come down, right? I think the mortgage market is going to, I don't know, Canada anyway, is going to have to come up with some kind of different programs to meet these higher prices, increase amortization, get rid of this stress test. That will open up a ton of affordability for people. A ton.
Exactly.
It's coming. These
Mhm.
housing prices aren't coming down. We went through a couple of videos with, some condo new developments are going to be done in 2 or 3 years, and these condos were 675 to 700K for 2 bedroom. Whoa. And they didn't really offer much. Like they were okay, but we're going, holy cow. So they're not going to come down. So pull that article up. There's some good points we want to go through.
I am going to, because I think people are going to be shocked
I think
at the
so.
numbers. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My lilacs are blooming, Mark. They're gorgeous. Okay.
And this is a fairly, I mean, this is back in March 13th, but we come across it and we thought this would be a great one to do a video on. Go through some key points up here, but it's a great one. Go back down, go back up, go back down. Yeah. Do you want to read it or want me to read it? That's good.
You can read this. You can
All
start.
right. All right. So between two Canadian consensus of 2016 and 21, a portion of Canadians living in owner-occupied homes has fallen from 69% to 65%. Home ownership rate is 66.5%, latest consensus of 2020, 2002. That's still a pretty large number of people owning homes. Again, baby boomers are the biggest homeowner age group, accounting for over 40% of all homeowners in Canada. Those baby boomers are getting older and at a fast pace here. You know what I mean? We're seeing
Yes.
they're downsizing, if not selling the condo, assisted living, retirement living. We're seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else I want to say? I'm just under 60% of new homes are owner occupied 2021. We've seen a lot of speculation, right? In the COVID days, right?
Yes.
Frenzy was on, cheap money, you know,
You're
never,
not seeing it now.
we're not seeing that now. People think they
Not
are.
as much.
House prices were down 4% from the previous year in May 2023, but look at the peak. The peak was crazy. Yes, they probably come down well, they did come down double digits.
Well, this is the big thing, Mark. Approximately 34.5% of Canadian own homeowners have a mortgage in 2023. Only 35% of
Right.
Canadian homeowners,
Correct.
65% have no mortgage.
Right. So everyone, the conception out in the market today or out there today is that everyone's and hey, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that are maxed and in debt, huge, but 65% own their home outright. That's a large amount of money in equity sitting there.
Huge.
It's huge. So that's a very interesting stat. I'm glad that you brought that up because that is a big, 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 big number right there.
Yeah,
So
everybody's under the assumption that nobody can afford their mortgage payments. Everybody's going under. Everyone's got to give their house away. Well,
yep.
65% of the people don't even have a bloody mortgage, and none of this matters to them.
Doesn't matter to them. They can ride it out mortgage free. They built up that equity over the years and years and years and years. They don't care.
What the hell do they care?
Pile of money.
Pile.
Yep. Go through,
And
through some other points.
well, and they grew between 2016 and 2021 40%, but then they were down 4% from the previous year in May 2023. So we're just seeing a correction. The prices dropped, and they only said 2021, Mark. You know as well as I do, in 2023 and
It's
the
all,
end of 2022, they freaking dropped by like 30%.
yeah, they started dropping in March, right? In the March break. Remember
Yeah,
going, what happened? And
yeah,
then it started raising the rates in April 2022. And things kind of, whoa, shifts happened. We still saw activity, transactions were down, prices were down. Transactions are still down double digits now
yeah,
compared to the peak. If we look
yeah.
at last year, they're very flat. So I don't know if you got that spreadsheet, maybe you pull up later on and show the folks and the viewers about it, but
I think we should do that as a separate video.
okay. And then, the article talks about homeownership kind of, some of the Atlantic provinces kind of grew in owner occupied homes. Alberta did, out East Coast did, but the affordability in those areas are a lot cheaper than it is in Ontario today. Massive.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of people, the past clients that sold and went east. See you later. We're out of here.
Yeah, I
Right?
had lots too.
Right.
Newfoundland and Labrador had the highest home ownership rate in 2021 at
Yeah.
75.7%. New Brunswick and Alberta had the second and third highest rates at 73 and 70.
Yeah. Your dollar goes pretty far out there.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Massively
I
far.
think there's a lot of retirees going there too.
I tell you, when I went out to Alberta this year, I get notifications from a realtor out there. I tell you, your dollars go far. I'd move there tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it.
Okay, now this is the thing. Okay, this is just a historical stats on home ownership, but this is the thing that I want to talk about for sure.
Bring it up.
So the home ownership rate decreased amongst 25 to 29 year olds from 44% to 36.5% in 2021.
Okay. Yeah.
The rate fell from 59 to only 52, so it's only 7% for the 30 to 34 age group, which was the second biggest decrease.
Yeah.
So my thing is, you see the big news flashes that young people can't buy today and blah blah blah. That's still a large number of apparently people that can't buy buying.
I agree. And I think the ones that are buying too, it's tougher for the single ones with
Yes.
one income. You have a dual income in there, you make some sacrifice living in mom and dad's basement for a year or two to save up the down payment and sock cash away and maybe get rid of some of that debt that you got going on. Yeah, it's totally doable. Very much doable, right? Harder for a
Yeah.
single, but you get double incomes coming in and you manage that process well and put money away. Yeah, totally doable. But there has to be sacrifices for that. Living with
Well,
mom and
there is. And what I'm trying to say is from
dad,
30 to 34 age group, still more than 50% are homeowners.
yeah. Oh no, no. Again, it's tougher because we see, right? We see the values every day and we go, and my daughter's 17. I go, holy cow, I'm trying to teach her these lessons now, going, it's going to be so hard for you to own a home. It's 10 years away, maybe
Mm-hmm.
12, maybe she's 30. Holy cow, what are they going to be worth? Right? What's the starter hometown home going to be worth? A mil? Maybe more? I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, holy cow. You-
I know it's difficult, but they're gonna have to do what we did, Mark.
They're gonna have to make sacrifices. And that's a
And even when I was growing up and when I me and my friends and I were getting into the housing market or whatever, people making minimum wage or working at Tim Hortons, they couldn't buy a house, and they can't now either.
no, they can't.
But they
No,
couldn't then.
no, they couldn't then. No.
Like,
It
it's all relative to a degree.
you get a young couple They can do it. It can be done. We know lots of them.
Exactly. So homes built in Canada since 2016 are less likely to be bought by owner occupiers than investors. The share of owner occupiers in new homes was the lowest in Quebec, where only 38.7 of homes were lived in by the owners. It was followed by Halifax with 39% of owner occupied new homes. Toronto and Vancouver were 56.6 and 57.4. And Calgary and Edmonton had the highest portions of new homes, 68.8 and 70%.
Being lived in.
Actually being lived in by the person who bought it.
Correct.
Which means speculators are buying it.
Correct.
But those rules, Mark, and you and I've talked about this, they changed. So years ago, I had clients that would go buy 3 or 4 brand new builds.
Right.
And then sell them once they were built 2 years later. Well, they can't do that anymore.
Well, it's going to be taxed as business income, fully
No,
taxed.
it's not that. There's some law, a speculators thing that came out where that a builder can't sell 4 to 1 person.
Okay. Right. Yes.
They're not allowed to do it anymore.
But some are doing that, but even the single, even the buying one unit, it's going to be taxed greatly, right? 100% of that profit's going to be taxable income,
Yeah.
getting it onto the feds, right? And then, but let's also keep it here for a second, is that, remember, this article was back from, it's a new article, of course, but we're basing it on a consensus of 2021. Well, again, speculation was almost at its peak. Investors were buying a lot of properties to rent out. They're not doing that today.
No.
They're not doing that, right? We've covered enough videos and with about the LTV and speculators. They're not out there buying properties and renting them out. They're getting out of it at a high alarming rate.
Well, you see, okay, Mark, look at Fairlane development over there.
Yeah.
How many, when they were built, came up for sale? They're still for sale now. There's all kinds popping up. Never lived in.
Lots. There's lots. Yeah. And a lot
But
of rent.
when did they buy it? 2021?
2020, in that range. Because I remember having a site visit, because Pratt, when I bought, was building that site over there. And I asked, and they were releasing some phases then. So just before the pandemic, right? So with delays in there, so when did they hit the market? 2022, 2023. We seen a ton of them come on. We went, whoa, right? And then we know and then we've seen for lease.
Yeah.
Right.
So the next thing, mortgages. So 35.5% of Canadian homeowners have a mortgage. This was slightly higher than the last period, which is 29.63. Canadian aged 35 to 54 most likely to have a mortgage.
Correct.
And millennials were most likely to have the largest mortgages.
Makes sense.
Which makes sense because they're probably buying the biggest houses at that point.
Well, too, and the prices are a lot higher too, right? You know what I mean? They're only putting out 5%, 10%, whatever. They're gonna have some big mortgages.
Yeah. But for their house, so it's saying that, with the interest rate increase in 2022, on average, they'd be paying $23.78 a month, which is 12% more.
That number's higher today.
Yeah. And then so they're saying 29.34 with a 3% increase.
Yeah.
Which is probably closer. But Mark, for the houses that they're living in.
Oh yeah.
That rent would be more than that.
Yep. I had a young couple that I talked to last year, and they're millennials. They bought the first house, and they built it and stuff like that, and their rates super low, and no kids, both professionals, 6-figure salaries for both of them. What should we do? You should bust your ass and start paying that thing down. You should max out every prepayment opportunity that you can massively, because you are going to renew in 2025 or 2026, and your low payment isn't going to be there. you have the financial means to do that, do it, do it, do it, do it. So I hope they did it because it just makes sense. No kids in the picture right now, no nothing. Money's coming in. You gotta put the money at that age, you gotta put the money to good use.
Oh yeah, once you have kids and you have
Yeah.
hockey and dance and
Oh,
this and that, I mean, and whenever people have a baby, it makes me laugh because they're like, "Oh, it's so expensive to have a,"
well,
like a baby eats off your plate, okay? Get two 16 and an 18-year-old boy
playing
who
AAA
eat
hockey.
they all they do is shove food in their face all day long and see what your grocery bill is.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Or
Like
we got no food in the house. Well, we do. You just don't like preparing it or putting the work in. There's lots in the freezer and fridge. Help
yeah.
yourself. So true.
No, well, it is because yeah, babies, you got to do diapers and formula for a small amount of time, but your
Yeah.
food bill and those kind of costs, they're not doing sports, they're not, and yourself, like traveling around, getting motel rooms, going to all these things. It's a luxury and it's expensive.
It's very expensive. Thousands and thousands and thousands a year. And those are net dollars you pay taxes on. Oof,
Hmm.
expensive.
It
Okay.
is.
What about the biggest growth in value? Let's cover that off.
So it's saying that homeowners in Canada, what would they expect to get their homes if they were to sell? So the average expected value growth is the most in Ontario at 59%, followed by British Columbia at 36% and Quebec at 29%.
Yep.
Um, the Prairie provinces reported the slowest growth of just 2.2.
Yep.
Atlantic Canada 21% and territories 22%. And I've been saying this. I've had clients saying I want to go out to Calgary and stuff. And I know the investor girl I'm talking about.
Mhm.
She bought 5 or 6 properties out in the Calgary area years ago.
There's a
And she still hasn't been able to sell them because she can't even get what she paid for them.
right. There's a boom out there. She jumped too quick. Yep. It's a beautiful. I mean, your dollars go so far out there.
It's
Much
just that don't expect growth because you're not going to get big growth.
no, and we get big growth here in Ontario, right?
Yeah.
We've seen it over the years. The home prices
And since 2021, the prices have gone down 20-30% here, at least.
on some categories, yeah, price ranges, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
But
this house prices grew by almost 40% between 2016 and 2021. That is not accurate anymore.
it's not if we base it, it's not. But basing at that time, yeah, and in 2022, let's call that 55%. That was stupid, right? And for January, February, I mean, I listed a property on Gun and it was like we got 980. It was a shack.
Mark, listen, I remember
But
in November, Rob had asked me, my mortgage guy, what do you think your house is worth right now? And I said it was about 850.
yeah,
Do you know by January, February, it was selling for 1.1?
yeah, easy. Yeah,
It was like in 2-3 months.
yeah,
And I'm like, it went up like 30%. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And now we're back down to
yeah,
850.
yeah, yeah. But
It went back down like it did. And he
correct.
said to me yesterday, he goes, well, Diane, there was a big drop in the market. And I said, no, Rob, there was a
No,
correction in the market.
caused by higher interest rates.
But the correction should have happened because that value was not a true inflationary value. That was just some crazy COVID nonsense.
Super
That
high.
wasn't a true representation of value, and it did correct itself.
It did, but I think we're going to go back because we are going to see rate decreases in time. We are going to see that, and they are going to come down. We are going to see those prices go back up there in a few years. It's coming.
Oh, well,
It's
look at here. In April 2023, the average home price in Canada was 716, which was 4% higher than March. However, it was 4% lower than prices in 2022.
makes sense. It was.
Transactions were down by 19.5.
Mhm.
So they're saying, yeah, we're seeing it, right?
100%. 100%.
And Vancouver has the highest price at 1.295.
Yep. Yep.
And Toronto is at 1.15.
Yep.
Ottawa 677, Montreal 565, Calgary 549, Edmonton 408, Winnipeg 377.
Yep. Yep.
So compared to the year before, prices fell the most in Manitoba. And Prince Edward Island 12.4 increase, Nova Scotia 8% increase.
Yeah. Interesting, eh?
Well, I think that's because people are leaving here,
100%. There's demand. Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
British Columbia had the average house price at 961.
Yep.
So this is the average house.
Right.
Ontario was 881.
Yep.
And in both cities, the prices were lower than the year before in 2022, which was
Yep.
at 1,056,000 and 986.
Yep.
So it was 100,000 less.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And Saskatchewan and Manitoba were the lowest. And they saw decreases by 8.5 and 8.9.
No, it's interesting. And it's again, what we're seeing in the marketplace today, as of today, things are moving. Things aren't flying off the shelves in a sense. That lower price range of inventory is selling well. But we also had some inventory increases in the last couple of weeks too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bit more choice, a bit more competition in the market right now.
And university degree people own 67%, high schools 55%. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. Like now, when I was growing up, and I don't know about you, but there was like barely anybody that went to college or university. That was like barely nobody did that. And now it's expected everybody does that.
100%. Kids are going away today, even our generation. They went away, got educated. Yeah, it's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Hey, make
And
sure.
most of them, and of course, the single family people, unattached individuals are only 38% homeowners, lone parent families. Like it's going to be harder on your own, right?
Percent. You can't
So
do it on your own today.
no,
It's this less. You just can't. A new person starting out, forget it. Someone that goes through a separation, divorce, and split the assets. Even then, it's a struggle, right? It's a
yeah.
struggle. You got debt. So
The
yes,
biggest, and 78% is among couples, whether they have children or not.
right, right. That's the dual incomes. So
Yeah.
make sure folks give it a like, give it a share, and follow for more information. Anyone has any questions for real estate in Barrie, Simcoe County, reach out to Diana or myself. We'd love to help you out.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm kind of glad we went over this because
I think it's good, even though it's a little bit older, but the information's that's what we got the data on, so it's good. Yeah.
well, they did say, okay, like in April of 2023, like the article was done in 2024, but the
Yep.
problem is there's no census data, right?
Right.
They only do it so many years.
Right.
So unfortunately, we can't get exact numbers, but my point is that I think there is a lot more people, younger people buying than people think.
Yeah.
There's a lot less mortgages out there and people owing money than people think.
100%. 100%. Yep. The perception is everyone's leveraged to the head, right? It's not the
To the
case.
boobs.
Yeah, I was gonna say it, but I thought I would say it, but no. But yeah, right. And there's a lot of people sitting on equity and aren't affected by, a slowing real estate market, aren't affected by inflation. Not everybody's affected by this. Not everybody. The lower income groups are really affected by this.
Yes.
The families are really affected by this. Higher grocery costs, older kids reading you out of the house, drive, go here, go there. Yeah, it costs money. Drive these kids to hockey school, skating, hockey tournaments. Like, holy cow. Yes.
It's
So
expensive.
that's a lot of people. But no, I'm glad we went through it. I thought it was great. So have a great weekend.
You too.
See you.
Bye.